Today's podcast is brought to you by AlleyRepair.com. Don't leave your skee ball machines lying around collecting dust in your basement. Let AlleyRepair.com bring those machines back to life. High quality workmanship for your skee ball playing needs. Contact AlleyRepair.com today. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Pro Life Football Podcast. This episode we look at the results of the Divisional round and look ahead to next week's championship games. Let's start with the Saturday games and the game that went exactly as everyone planned. The New England Patriots' complete dismantling of the Houston Texans despite them playing a relatively horrible game. Brock Osweiler threw crazy passes all day and missed most of his receivers who were wide open. And then he throws, the throws that were on target seemed to consistently be dropped, including one to Will Fuller in the corner of the end zone. It really summed up the Texans' season. Patriots were sloppy. They let the Texans hang around way too long. They could have put this game away early. At the end of the day, Brady and the Patriots are just too much for Houston. The Houston defense is the heart of that team, and instead, the Patriots are going to march into the AFC Championship game after a decisive 34-16 win. Moving on, let's look at the NFC Saturday game, which had the Falcons put their stamp on the divisional weekend by clobbering the Seahawks 36-20 in a game that saw efficiency in all aspects of the game. The running game was solid. Matt Ryan was laser sharp. He was able to get the ball away quickly and efficiently. All the Falcons receivers got into the action. They ended the playoff run of the Seahawks, punching their ticket to the NFC title game. The Seahawks defense seemed to be slow and sluggish. They're in a lot of key spots. They got some pressure on Matt Ryan, but his quickness was just too much for their pass rush, and the Seahawks offense just wasn't in sync. Jimmy Graham and Doug Baldwin found the end zone, but they really didn't do anything else to help the team. Russell Wilson probably wishes he can get the whole game back and do over because he threw 2 picks at key times, and he saw his season come to an end with a mere 225 yards on the day. The Sunday matchups, they were totally different. On Sunday, the Packers had a shootout with the Cowboys, and the Steelers eked out a win against the Chiefs without finding the end zone. The Packers looked like it was going to be a blowout when they took a commanding lead early, but the Cowboys, they don't give up. They fought back. They tied the game late in the fourth quarter at 28 apiece, and then a little later at 31 apiece. Looked like time was going to expire and looked like we were going to be headed to overtime. But the play of the game sees Jared Cook, the tight end, grab a 35-yard toe-touching sideline catch to set up the winning Mason Crosby field goal just as time expired to give the Packers a 34-31 win. I can tell you now, as a Cowboys season ticket holder, my desire to sell the NFC Championship game tickets was thwarted, and the Packers have a date with destiny in the Atlanta Falcons. So, great stuff on that front. The Steelers and the Chiefs, they were a perplexing mix. The Chiefs found the end zone, the Steelers didn't. The Chiefs had no players with more than 77 yards rushing or receiving, and the Steelers saw Le'Veon Bell go for 170 on the ground and another 108 through the air by Antonio Brown. So the game was just strange. It was in danger of going to a tie at the end of the fourth quarter when we got to see the touchdown by the Chiefs, which was followed up by a 2-point conversion attempt by Alex Smith, where he missed a wide-open Jeremy Maclin. And that ended up sealing the deal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were able to put away a team that really, they looked like on defense, they could have hung with anybody, but on offense, they didn't even belong being there. It was really a shame to see that be the way that the season ends for that team. As for moving forward, let's turn our attention to next week's championship weekend and what we can expect. To be honest, both of the games have big play written all over them, and this could be one of the most exciting weekends of football the entire season. Not just because the teams are playing for a spot in the Super Bowl, that's obviously huge, but more importantly, they always talk about teams getting hot at the right time and how it can carry a team all the way through the playoffs. All 4 of these teams are streaking hot right now, and they should all be able to offer highlight reel moments. Let's start with the NFC Championship game between the Packers and the Falcons. Sunday, 3:05. You have the most efficient offense in the season in the Falcons, who generated over 415 yards of offense per game this year, going against the Packers, who started the year a bit slow, but have completely picked things up the last 8 games and now look like they're on par with the 2010 run to the Super Bowl. It's a true battle of prolific offense. If I were to have any concerns, it would be the status of Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams. Nelson missed the game with his broken ribs, and Devontae Adams took a really ugly fall at the end of regulation this week against the Cowboys. It looked like it could have been a serious knee injury, and then I was really shocked. We got to see Devontae Adams just trot back out on the field. He was clearly limping, but he was still out there against the Cowboys, so it shows his grit and his desire to win. As for the Falcons, they They post over 120 yards a game rushing, and they're going to go against the Packers' rush defense that only allows 94 per game. This is where I believe the game will be won or lost for the Falcons. If they can control the line of scrimmage and get their rushing wheels turning, I think the Falcons take their elite offense to the Super Bowl. If not, Aaron Rodgers is playing some of the best football of his career, and if the Falcons let him stick around too long and they don't separate themselves from the pack, it may be a victory for the Cheesehead Nation. Of course, we also have Sunday night AFC Championship game at 6:40, Steelers and the Patriots. Both teams played sloppy this past week. They allowed their opponents to stick around in games that could have easily been blowouts. Pittsburgh couldn't find the end zone. The Patriots are letting Brock Osweiler make big throws all day. Fortunately for the Patriots, Osweiler can't hit a stationary target from more than 6 yards away, so that really didn't matter. This game could be a classic or a complete letdown depending on which teams show up. If the insane offense featuring a power run game, precision passing, and clutch receptions happens, then we're in for a treat because both teams use that formula. Whether it's Le'Veon Bell and Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown clicking on all cylinders, or if it's Tom Brady, LeGarrette Blount, and Julian Edelman throwing a little Martellus Bennett in there and things like that. They have to point out they can do some amazing things on both of these squads. So otherwise, it could be a tough day at the office for whichever team doesn't show up. It's prediction time. So for championship weekend, I have the Falcons topping the Packers, the final score of 35-24, and the Steelers topping Tom Brady and the Patriots 31-27. I would have loved to have seen the Chiefs and Falcons get to the Super Bowl for a change and let us see somebody different be at the top, but that didn't happen. After what transpired, the Falcons versus the Steelers makes for a great matchup. Let's close out this episode with a fantasy focus. If you're still playing fantasy football with one of those one-week fantasy providers, I want to give you some of my picks for who may bring you the big win this week. First off, at quarterback. With the day that Dak Prescott put up on the Packers defense in the second half, I'm all in on Matt Ryan. You know, that seems like it's an obvious thing, but the Packers defense has been stout all year, and all of a sudden Dak Prescott shredded them. I expect them they're going to have to throw a ton. And there's no one better in the NFL right now. The most prolific offense in the league. At running back, I'm looking at Tevin Coleman and Ty Montgomery. If you're trying to save a few bucks in these budgeted leagues, but still put up big points, these two could be your best chance. And for now, the all-important wide receivers. I save money in all different places so you can focus your money on your wideouts. And here I see these three being the ones that make the grade this week. Randall Cobb, Julian Edelman, and doing that gives you just enough to fit Antonio Brown on your team. At tight end, I'm taking Jesse James. He's an inexpensive option. He's filling in for Ladarius Green, and he has been very competent and should be a solid play against the Patriots. At the all-important kicker position, because last week who'd have seen Boswell coming, this week I go with reliable Steve Gostkowski, for some reason listed as the third out of 4 teams' third best kicker choice this week. The Steelers' defense is solid, but the Patriots can move the ball. And if nothing else, they're going to put points on the board off the leg of one of the best big game kickers in the past 20 years. To save a few bucks, I'm going to take the Packers' defense, and that'll round out my lineup this week. That's all the time we have for this episode, but check back with us next time where we're going to review the championship action, look ahead to the big game, and analyze who's going to represent the NFL in Super Bowl 51. Special thanks go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all of our music and sound effects used throughout today's show. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by fastweb.com. Search the FastWeb database and help your student access scholarships and financial aid information with the FastWeb free and easy-to-use scholarship search engine. Investigate the college of your dreams with the FastWeb College Profile search engine, and let FastWeb be your guide to higher education. To the U.S. News & World Report Best Colleges 2017, available right now at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. And to Fufu Games, newest game of strategy and collective fun, its Legendary Elements. Travel around the universe collecting items that will make you the master of the elements. Get your copy today at www.thegamecrafter.com/legendaryelements now. And to A&B Education of Lansdale, bringing intercultural education to talented students from around the world. We want to thank you for listening to today's podcast, and we encourage you to go to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com to learn more about what Mr. Fro can do for you and your path to higher education. Remember, Fro-Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, for life, with Fro-Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. We look forward to chatting with you about all the happenings in the world of football, and we hope you enjoy the championship games this week. So long, everybody.